Hello users, uh, welcome to third lecture of C++. Today I'm going to teach you about the data types and the variables in C++. Uh, Basically C++ supports uh, few data types which are used for various type of data which can be stored in computers. Uh, the first type of data which can be stored in C++ program is whole numbers. So whole numbers are any number, for example 12, 100, 30, 1000, any number which can be stored. The first type is the whole number. The second type is float, for example 1.5, 1.2, 4.0, 4.9, 11.4. Similarly, you can also, the floating are basically floating data types. They are also known as the fractional numbers. Fractional numbers can be stored in the C++ program. You can also store character type. The characters in the C++ program, characters are, for example, A, B, and then up to Z, any character. That those characters may be in small letters or in the caps. For example, caps may in the caps you are writing A, B, and then till the Z. You can also store symbols like at the rate, minus, plus, any other symbol, percentage, or the dollar sign or the hash sign. So any symbol or any character which can be stored in character data type. Character data type supports storage of any data in C++ program. Let's talk about the whole numbers. C++ also supports the storage of Boolean data type, but you cannot create Boolean variable directly in C++. However, other languages like Java, C Sharp, those languages support the creation of Boolean data type also. But in the C++, you don't have the Boolean data type, which you cannot directly create Boolean variable. However, Boolean can store true, means 1, or false, means 0 in the variables. So now let's discuss about the whole numbers first. So in the C++, if you want to create a whole number data type, if you want to store whole numbers, you have three data types available in the C++, which are short, integer, and long. Short stores whole number, integer can also store whole numbers, and long can also store whole numbers. The only difference among these three is that their size is different. For the short, it can store 2 bytes, and in the integer we can store 4 bytes of data, and in integer and in long we can store 8 bytes of data. So the only difference among these data type is the size of the data types. However, they can store same kind of data, which is the whole numbers. Now let's talk about the floats. The floating number, float and double are two data types for the fractional numbers. The only difference between them is that float can store 4 bytes of data and double can store 8 bytes of data, and both of them can store fractional numbers as we discussed earlier. For the characters, character data type can store 1 or 2 characters and reserves 1 byte. If you store 1 character, it will occupy 1 byte in the C++. And for the Boolean, you cannot create a Boolean variable directly, so size is unknown. So now let's create a simple C++ program in which we'll use data types. So let's write it. The hash include IO stream for the input and output, then a hash conio include conio.h. Then we are going to use main function, the clear screen. As you know, if you want to clear screen, it's important to clear a screen before executing any C++ program. Then I'm going to write create two variables. First one is of short type, and as you know, short can store whole numbers, so this will store, for example, 10. Then I'm going to create another variable, that is b. It can store to 20. Then I'm going to create another variable type long. This can store 30, for example. So these all three variables are can store, they all three can store uh, whole numbers data. Now if you want to add them, if you want to perform some addition operation on them, just write a plus b plus c, and then just run this program by pressing, let's save it first, save it with testing data type dot cpp. Now let's run this program by pressing Ctrl F9. See, 60 is the answer. Why 60? Because 10 plus 20 plus 30 equals to 60. So the value of A will be plus in the value of B, and then the answer will be added into the C. So the answer is 60. If you change value here, the answer will be different. For example, if I want to make it 30, 30 plus 20 will be 50. And then if you add 30 more in it, it will become 80. Let's execute. So the answer is 80 now. So any arithmetic operator can be performed on these data types. The only difference is that their data type sizes are different. So how much space are you reserving in this program? 2 bytes of short, 4 bytes of int, that means 6 bytes, and 8 bytes of long, that means 8 plus 6 will be 14 bytes are reserved for this program. So you can also perform subtraction operation by executing it. You can press Control F9. So answer is 40, because 30 minus 20 will be 10, and then 30 will be added, so answer will be 40. Okay, now if you want to add if you put fractionals after the 30 point, if you make 30.5 and you want to store it in the short data type, short cannot store fractional values, therefore the answer will be 40 again. So you can't see the fractional value because it cannot store fractional value, so answer will be in the whole numbers, the fractional part will be discarded. So if you want to store the fractional value, you need to create a floating type variable, and then if you execute it, now the answer is 40.5, because 30.5 is in the float, so overall answer will be in the floating points, in the fractionals. You can also create double type of variable. If you want to store fractional values, you can also create double, and you want to add, for example, 20.2, and you want to subtract 20.2 from 30.5, and then you want to add it in the C. So answer is 40.3. So this is how you basically use data type in C++ by creating variables. This is the name of the variable. You can keep any name. For example, I want to change the name. I can also use as num, that means number. You can also keep any name you like. There is no any hard and fast rule for the name. You can also change the variable name b. You can keep it as z. For example, you can change it as xb, xy, any number, any name you like to keep, but that name should be in the characters. It cannot be number. You cannot keep variable name as 0, cannot keep variable name as a tree. So the name should be in the characters, and it also supports the underscore sign for the variable names. Other symbols cannot be used for the variable names. You can also you can also perform other tasks on the same data types. You can also create character variable. For example, if I want to create a character variable, let's create a character variable, and character C equals to A. So I have created a variable called C, and I have stored A in it. So let's run this program. So if I run it, you can see the answer is A, because the value of C is A. I have stored A in the C variable. It will occupy one character. If I add more than one character in it, I'll get error and it won't compile. See, you can see the error, and error is also mentioned here. The character contains constants must be one or more characters long, so it cannot be more than one or two characters. If you store two characters, it is still going to print A. It cannot show you two characters, still going to print A. See, okay, so if you want to store numbers in the characters, so if I'm storing 65 instead of A or any character in the single quotation, if I want to store integer number in the character variable and then I print C variable, this will print its ASCII code, which means this is going to convert this 65 into the ASCII code, and it will print equivalent character of that ASCII code. So 65 is the ASCII code of A, so this is going to print A instead of 65. See, A in the caps. If you want to print a small a, the ASCII code, the decimal number of the A is 97. That 97 is going to convert in the ASCII code, and then you'll get small a in the answer. See, so if you want to print B, you just make it as 98. So it's going to print ASCII code. It's going to print B, because that 98 will be converted into the character. So I hope it's clear now, data types and their usage. You can use any variable, you can use any data type to perform task in the C++ program. Hope it's clear. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, please post your questions in the comments. uh, Thank you. See you in next lecture.